All right. So I've never done this before. I've never done a comparison video, like a versus type video. And this is my first time doing that. So let's see how it goes. I've always wanted to do this, and I know I'm like 5 years late to this party, but I've always wanted to do this, and I've finally got around to doing it. And seeing, wanted to give you my side of the story versus the Xbox One controller and the PS4 controller, my opinion, because I'm going to give you my real thoughts and maybe from perspective that you may have never heard before. So let's do it. Okay, so these two controllers. Okay, the lighting on it isn't all that great, but I'll tell you what. I'm going to break down in each categories. I'm going to do comfort level first. All right, so comfort. This thing is, it feels great. It feels great. Just, I really can't really complain on how it feels. This one as well, I really can't complain on so much how this feels. I feel like comfort-wise, I feel like it's a tie, honestly, because comfort-wise, I really can't complain either way. Both feel really good. Now, button placement. This one is interesting because this thing right here, this little touchpad comes down to it all, really. All right, I had to change my camera angle because the lighting wasn't really picking it up, so this should be a lot better. Anyways, yeah, you could definitely see it here. The touchpad here. All right, now check this out. When I'm playing a multiplayer, I'm gonna try to. Yeah, here we go. I'll do it like this from this perspective. When I'm playing a multiplayer game, I'll give you an example that uses the map feature or scoreboard with the touchpad, like Call of Duty. Battlefield. Actually, no, Battlefield uses the stupid options button where you got to hold it down and it just delays everything. Yeah, I'm just gonna check my score. Let me stop what I'm doing and check it. It's just really inconvenient. But what's nice about here is, as I was playing Blackout, you could literally hold it, just tap it, view the score, and then untap it. You don't have to. You can continue to move. But here on the Xbox version, you basically have to let go and press it. Or if you want to be less convenient, this is what I do. Be less convenient and put your thumb all the way on the other side and press it just like that. See, that's what I do. But it's just so less convenient that way because the touchpad is so obviously right there. I don't even have to try. I just barely touch it and it's right there. It's right next to the square button. It's literally right there. And I just check it off. So that's really what it comes down to for me, is this touchpad. That's the defining factor for me, button placement. Because everything else, I don't really get the argument with the analog sticks. I don't really care. That doesn't really affect me all that much. I'm not like, oh man, I can't play this game because I have my analog sticks too close together. Like I don't have that at all. I feel the exact same way. I don't. Maybe it's better. This controller's better with one hand. Like if you're doing something, right, and if you want to change change like a movie on Netflix or something. If you want to change one hand, maybe this controller's better with one hand where you could just hold it and just quickly go. I know that little thing is kind of irrelevant maybe, but those little things that aren't ever mentioned, I feel like the PS4 controller benefits that better as well. But here's where it comes down to where this controller takes its final blow, and it's the button sounds. Now I know this may be irrelevant to everyone or to some people. Like button sounds, really? You're judging controller by button sounds? Here's the thing. I love controllers that are quiet, that don't make a lot of noise, because I don't want to have that sense of immersion broken by controller noises going off, or like like keyboard and mouse. Like I hear these keyboards just going off. I'm like, oh, like that's one thing about keyboards. I will say they are pretty precise as well, more precise than these things, but they are noisy. I hear they're in the background, like just clicking away and everything. It's like, can't they have nice quiet keyboards that don't make any noises? Now here's what it comes down to. This little stupid little nubby thing right here, all right? Some people may like it, some people don't. I don't like it. And I don't like it for playing indie games, like side-scrolling games, like Mega Man, just any indie game slash side-scroller in general, all right? Because check this out. It's just too noisy, all right? It's too noisy. And these buttons right here, they are just really, really noisy. And especially for playing fighting games. I don't even want to play fighting games on this thing because they're so noisy. I mean, I'll be in here and you could hear me just mashing buttons away in the other room. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But for here, this thing is perfect. I mean, this D-pad right here is just beyond perfection. It's the best D-pad I've ever played. Played with for a console. Any sort of D-padness, this is the best D-pad ever created. It smashed Nintendo. I hate Nintendo's D-pad as well. That thing, they've never changed that thing. That thing has been with the N64 through the regular NES. They've never changed it, it seems, unless they've made slight modifications. It's just always seemed the same. But this thing, watch. And I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not making these movements a lot less quiet, like quiet on purpose. I'm literally trying my hardest to make this loud. See, it's just so quiet, and like I go left or I go right, I go left. Like it's just peaceful when I play with this thing. Buttons. Yeah, the buttons are still a little noisy like that one, but you know what? Not as much. Not as much. The only really advantages that I can say that this controller has is the triggers. The triggers, they're really, really quiet. They are peacefully quiet. Now, if your controller's vibrating, I will say the rumble pack in this thing is very loud as well. Also, it probably depends on how new the controller is. If the controller ages, it's going to get a little bit louder. Like this controller was pretty low, but then it also got really loud for Call of Duty the other night. So I turned the rumble pack off. If a rumble pack gets too loud, I turn that thing off because it breaks thing. I just don't want to do it. But I hate these stupid triggers that vibrate because they go like you just hear a big loud noise. Like it's just, they're really annoying. I don't like the sounds they make. They have like this weird thing where you're like, you really feel it too. I feel like it doesn't add anything to the game. If I have an option to turn them off, I do. I turn them off. That's just my opinion, but I do. I turn them off. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it comes down to the button noises. But this one here, these triggers, they're really loud for some reason, but that's the loudest part of this controller. Now, you can probably be more careful, and you won't hear them as much, but if you're really into it, if you're going, yeah, die, you're going to have really loud noises, but these triggers are the best because they are really, really good. But really, at the end of the day, though, what does it come down to? I'd rather prefer this. Because it's a more quieter controller, the touchpad is better, and I feel like the comfort maybe just slightly edges over. But this isn't a bad controller by any means. And maybe if I got the Xbox Elite controller for $150, maybe there's a quieter D-pad option. Maybe, if there is. Put a comment down below that is there a actual quieter D-pad than this. There actually is a wired controller that I once had. And that D-pad was awesome because it was really quiet. and I could play indie games on it, and it wasn't like I had Shantae, right? Shantae from Game Pass, and I couldn't play it because I don't want to use, I don't like to use side scrollers with the analog stick. I don't really like that. I like them. I like using side scrollers with the D-pad because it's more accurate. I feel like it's more precise. Also, one other thing, the analog sticks, I feel like I like the concave design better because you can stick your thumb in and it really makes it more just better. I feel like overall it just gives you better grip. Now this old controller here, this old look how shiny and ugly this thing is, because this controller I got was like in 2014 when I got my original PS4. And the analog sticks are all worn and shiny and slippery. This I've had almost a year now, and the analog sticks are still in good shape, and it's not shiny. So, well, not as shiny. Sony actually improved this model controller a lot, and they improved the back end as well, where it's more stiffer. It's more grippy or whatever. This they kind of slick a little. They slip and slide a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have the PS4 controller. Anyways, my Twitter is SpongeBelt, just like you see here on this account. And share this video to your friends and whoever you think may like these type of videos. And I will be back another time for another video. I left out one more thing. The battery pack. The PS4 controller doesn't have a battery pack. If this battery goes bad, I could just take it out and buy some more batteries and rechargeable batteries, and this battery pack lasts about a week, a good week, and then I got to charge it up again. But that's fine. But the PS4 controller, it lasts about 8 hours, about as long as like a regular smartphone, like 8 hours or so, and then you got to charge it up. Now, if that battery goes bad, you're better off just getting a whole new controller, because your battery's only going to last like 2 or 3 hours, and that's just not good. You know, you got to have a controller that lasts long. So, but at the end of the day, I'd still rather have the PS4 controller just for those little reasons. But just for that D-pad, that's a huge, or that battery pack, that's a huge plus. That's a huge plus. Because if this battery pack goes bad, if it stops holding up, you just buy a new battery pack. So, anyways, that's really all it. And tell me what you think. Tell me what your preferences, or what your pros and cons are with each controller. So that's it, guys. I'm out.